What happens when law, business, and life collide? Each week on Lead Counsel, your host Tom Tona will take a deep dive into topics related to the law, the business of law, and life. There will be insightful discussions with industry insiders, experts, and thought leaders making significant contributions and meaningful differences in their fields of expertise. Tom is the founder and managing attorney at TonaLaw. He has been a practicing attorney since 1994 and the leader of TonaLaw since it opened in 2001. The goal of this podcast is to provide you with free information on law and the business of law, and to give you actionable tools related to each of these areas. Now, here's Tom.
Basically what core values are. So core values are the deeply ingrained principles and philosophies that guide everything in a company. Hiring decisions, firing decisions, how we onboard and train, how we interact with clients, how we interact with the general public, how we interact with each other. Basically, we have 6 core values that have really been crystallized over the last 10 years in the firm. Our company's core values are superior lawyering, people first, kind candor, innovation and improvement, mindset, and discipline. These core values are who we are as an organization and the team members living and breathing these. So office culture kind of embodies that whole definition, right? So an office culture is the shared values, right? The shared core values, the belief systems, the attitudes, and the set of assumptions that people in a workplace share. And that's from Forbes magazine. So your culture is the collective embodiment of the core values. The impact on a business's success, to me, it is the single most important factor for a company's success are the core values and the culture that gets created around the core values.
Yeah. And you definitely drill that down any chance that you get, like any staff meeting we have or just full office meetings that we have.
Even one-on-ones, right?
Yeah.
Even when I'm meeting with people one-on-one. For good,
Yeah.
like we're out to lunch, whatever, we're talking about specific things. Or if, let's say you and I are talking about somebody that's an exemplary new hire. It's typically because they're in alignment with our core values.
Yeah.
They're in alignment with the culture. The culture speaks to them. And how I know right now we're at the epitome of what we've ever been as far as talent, recruiting, onboarding, and retention. It's all because of the core values.
Yeah.
That's what I attribute it to. And I hear so many people complaining about how difficult it is to hire, but it's not difficult for us. It's been actually pretty significantly easy because we're unfolding a plan for recruiting that's really revolves around our core values. And the impact on the business has been astronomical. We had probably the best first quarter we've ever had as a law firm ever in 22 years of business.
Yeah.
Right?
And the core values used to be like when I started working here, they were like a laundry list long. And I remember it was on this board.
There were 9.
9. Which it's pretty long.
Yeah, no,
And
it's
like,
too long. It's
yeah,
too long.
that
Like
was
people
long.
aren't going to remember them, right? Like this is just super simple, easy to remember. To me, anytime you see a company that's doing really well and kind of leaps and bounds ahead, it's typically related to culture. Right. And again, I think that it's probably what I attribute most of the growth success right now to is our core values, So it's really important. The next step in the whole evaluation of core values and analysis is continually reinforcing them and protecting them, right? So you might have a team member who came on, they were great, but then they do something that really cuts across the core values, right? You got to have a swift conversation. I mean, I'm talking as soon as you can cool down and remove emotion from it, 24, 48 hours later, deal with it with kind candor. You know, hey, this is our standard. This is what I just observed. This is not in alignment with our standard and our core values. So you have 30 days to bring it up, or we'll be having a different conversation, because not everybody has to align. They just don't have to be here. Let them go somewhere else. You know what I mean? And that might make them happier, right? And always be examining them. Are you making sure that these core values are really what we're living every day, right?
And core values are constantly evolving. Like ours have evolved. I mean, they're generally the same that they have been, but we've definitely condensed them and
crystallized them.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. So one of the things that I'm constantly doing, both consciously and subconsciously, which I never realized, was that I'm constantly evaluating my levels of trust in people. And a lot of it is the alignment with the core values. Right. And I do that on a microsecond basis subconsciously. And typically, if I'm experiencing some kind of nagging gut distrust of a situation or a person, whether it's a team member or external, right? It could be somebody trying to hire us. It could be a vendor, right? My decisions get made pretty quick on a subconscious level without me even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it's done silently, internally, and it involves the fact that I'm constantly studying people. Right. And so for me, trust is very binary. Yeah. And then we've talked about the binariness of trust with me. So I think the core values are constantly being reevaluated and the alignment with them, with everybody I interact with.
That's why I love the plus minus model, by the way.
Right. I know.
Love it.
I know. Yeah, so I think that, one of the cool parts of it is this, and where I knew I was onto something. We really started to crystallize this. And then I said, well, look, this is such a strong part of who we are that I really have to make this part of the recruiting process, right? So I started running ads on all the platforms, Indeed, social media, and I would really talk about our core values, put them in the ads, whatever. And then people started copying them.
Yes.
You're laughing, but people started copying the cultural stuff that we were putting out there.
Yeah.
Except what people didn't realize in the local market is their team members were applying for jobs with us.
You can't fake culture.
You can't fake culture. You can't fake core values. So those employees would come in for interviews and they would tell us what was really going on behind the scenes. And what was going on behind the scenes was not in alignment with what they were advertising as their core values and their culture. Yeah. You cannot fake culture, which really gives me a competitive edge because this is who we are. Our culture, all the things we just talked about is who we are. There is nothing that we ever deviate from with that. So our core values are real. Yeah. We follow them and they can't be faked. And so you're better off picking up different core values. Like if you're a law firm owner and it's just about the money for you, then just say, we're about the money, right? Yeah. You'll attract people, clients, team members that are just about the money.
There's no right or wrong. It's just what applies to you.
Yes, but if you're putting it out there because it sounds good on a postcard,
and then you're not doing it.
Sounds good on an ad. You're going to attract people that want that, but then the minute they're there, you're going to repel them. They're going to leave. You're going to have high turnover, right? And then they tell the other people in the marketplace. Yeah. So, just be who you are. Be authentic about your core values. That's really important.
Yeah, and I feel like
you can't copy core values from somebody else. Like I sit in these masterminds, right? And I would sit next to this one guy who's a really good friend of mine. And they would say, all right, write down your initial thoughts on your core values. I write them down. He's looking over my shoulder. I go, what are you doing, man? You can't copy my core values. It's with different law firms we run, And we would just joke around because then he would just start to do his own, but he would pretend to be copying mine. But people who know, you cannot just copy them. You cannot just look up online a list of 100 core values and then pick 5 that sound good. It took me 10 years to crystallize these things, to crystallize the culture that we have right now. But that's why our recruiting looks the way it does. Our retention looks the way it does. Our staff surveys look the way they do. The engagement looks the way it does. So yeah, I think that anybody that's listening to this, whether they're running a law firm or even if they're the general public, you want a law firm that is putting out there the type of culture that you align with, right? Yeah. So if you're looking for a lawyer that cares about people, gets fantastic results in litigation because they practice superior lawyering and believes in all the ideals that we believe in, all the core values we have, these are things you can ask about, by the way, when you're interviewing attorneys, right? Like, what does your firm stand for? Most firms won't even have an answer for you. We help the injured. Great. So does every other personal injury firm around. So does every other personal injury around. Every other personal injury firm around, right? Ask them, what are the core values that your firm is built upon? How many firms are even going to have an answer for you?
And that's going to tell you a lot about who you're working with.
Thank you. So on that note, I think we're done.